Hello everyone, this is Riccardo Masini and this is vlog, and this is my mini vlog on 1815 Scum of the Earth. 1815 Scum of the Earth is a game by Tristan Hall. Tristan Hall is very well known for his great card games. He's a wonderful illustrator that makes, let me see, beautiful, absolutely beautiful, stunning illustrations for his card battle games. And this series is about the great battles of history, and the first titles were 1066, There's Too Many Matters, about the Battle of Hastings, and 1565, St. Elmo's Bay, about the siege of Malta, and this is, of course, Waterloo. These card games are really fantastic. I really like them. Why? Because they're easy, they're very accessible, they're nice card games, and so they can be played by anyone without any experience in war games or historical gaming, but also they give a good sense of history. At first, the system is essentially the same for all the three titles. 90% of the rules are just the same, and in fact you can use the cards of one set with another. You can, if you want, you can have, I don't know, the Normans fighting against Wellington in a strange, weird time lapse. Okay, but staying with the historical stuff, this game is very nice. Why? Because it has two essential features. The first one is that in order to win it, you have to conquer two of these three frontier cards. Frontier are these lines, right? And these are the objectives, and by adding the might or the zeal, that is the force or the morale of the units in one row, you get to conquer that frontier. You do damage to that frontier, and when you do, for example, you do at least 9 points of damage to a cent. You got it. You got the last cent. You see, here is Wellington, here is Napoleon. Wow. Okay, and the other feature that I really like, and in order to do this, you have units, you have leaders, you have events, you have tactics, you have a lot of stuff with historical meaning, that with deep historical roots. But the deep historical roots are seen in this. This is the second feature, the trademark feature of the system. These are the objectives. Before you get to Waterloo, you have to win those intermediate objectives. So are challenges that you have there in order, and you have to overtake them in order to get to Waterloo and begin inflicting damage to these frontiers and essentially win the game. And when you get to an objective, when you overtake that objective, there are stronger challenges as the game goes on. You have special effects that happen, and this really give you the sense of a military campaign, of closing in with the objective, and you have got to rush. Why? Because when you're not at the objective, that is at Waterloo, that is when you still have intermediate objectives to overtake, the enemy can do not so much, but begin doing damage to the frontier before you get there, and it is bad. And it is bad for you to win the game. You win the game, I said, by taking two frontiers out of three, by eliminating the main commander of the enemy, because these cards have special abilities that can destroy their cards or at least damage them, and or if you win, if you still have cards standing in your draw deck and your opponent has exhausted his or her draw deck. As I said, there are cards, there are events, there are units, there are leaders, there are tactics, and you deploy these cards by paying a resource cost, and in order to get those resources you have to tire that is inactivate for one turn some cards. For example, here are the native rifles. Okay, oh, it is, those illustrations are full of Easter eggs, of course. If you tire that, you need to get one resource, so you can sacrifice one, you can discard one card from your hand to get another resource, and so on until you get to this point in resources. This, in order to deploy Picton, you have to deploy these resources, but when you get that, you get a powerful leader and many interesting abilities. Also, Napoleonic tactics are present because they reserve with tactics like infantry lines, or of course infantry squares, or cavalry charges, right? But also some cards, for example, this light infantry, the Oxfordshire light infantry, when played you get to draw back another card from your discard of the same type. That is, this represents lines forming and reforming over the battle. So there is a lot of flavor, lot of things that put you really in a Napoleonic battle that were not in the previous episodes, and that is good. And the game goes on with this. This is the flow of the game. You get your cards, you generate resources to deploy cards, you try to overtake the objectives, and when you have overtaken your objectives, you begin giving damage to the sectors. If you are at Waterloo and your opponent is not, you can by winning a direct challenge in Zeal, you just get one damage point on a frontier. When both of you and your opponent are at Waterloo, while you confront on might, and the difference between the two might scores is how many damage tokens you put on a frontier. And when you overtake the number on frontier 10 for Popolot, 9 for Lycent, and 11 for the Chateau d'Ugmont, well, you have won that frontier. This is the flow of the game, and this game, well, I really love it. Why? Because of course it is a beautiful game. Okay, no doubts, but you guys just get to see that. But also it is very easy, but really gives you a flavor of many historical dynamics. I really love this close to objective, this crescendo, let me say that in Italian, this growing tension up to the final battle. And it is all here, and it requires quite a bit of planning. This title in particular, because you have a lot of combination of combined tactics to activate, and you have to plan in advance, build your end, look at the abilities. In fact, I'd say you need 2 or 3 plays, and to really understand all those abilities, all those nuances. Another thing I really love, there are lots of variants. It can be played solo. There is a dedicated solo module, and that uses this wheel and generates this number of resources depending on the difficulty level. Every turn on the 8th turn on normal, generates the bot generates 2 resources, and 9th, but on the 10th game round generates 3 resources, so it can put more units. There are also, well, this of course, this is the math of the Kickstarter version of the Kickstarter edition. This is the solo side of the math. The other side is the multiplayer one. Well, you can also have a Prussian deck with Prussian cards, and this lets you play multiplayer or French against the Prussians. It is not so available. It is out of print, the Prussian deck, regretfully, but there is also a weather deck. So there are lots of variants, lots of things that you can do with this game, and of course it is a card game, so every single play will be much different. Lots of stuff to do, lots of really interesting stuff to do. What I don't like, well, some of the illustrations are weird. I get that Tristan Hall has included the Vu in the deck, so this great what if Napoleon had taken the Vu with him, so that's okay. But why the Vu has to wear a Hussar uniform? I don't think he ever wore a Hussar uniform in all his life. Some infantry generals have cavalry uniforms, some cavalry generals of infantry uniforms. They're depicted as on foot and not on horse. It's strange. Some illustrations are strange. This does not detract anything from the game, from the working of the game. Just be that the historical highs is some strange things that do not that they're not right. Okay, the really small stuff. There are abstractions, of course. Some of them I understand, some not so much. Some of them are better than in other titles, others are worse than in other titles, as always. Okay, it's a card game, so you don't have to expect a map, an accurate topographic map with just readily identifiable units. It is a card game, but it's a very nice card game. It is very deep on a strategic level. It has lots of historical flavor, and it's great to explain what happened during this campaign. There's lots of small episodes so that you can take and say, oh, this cards is about the Duchess of Richmond ball on Brussels, or the Congress of Vienna. What was the Congress of Vienna? Well, Congress of Vienna happened this and this. There are lots of interesting stuff, lots of variants. So it's a beautiful game. For me, this is a game to have in your collection. It is by no means a perfect simulation of the Waterloo campaign, but it is nice, it's fun, and it is not simplistic. There is a lot of strategic depth, and even more than the other titles in the series, you have got a lot of planning to do. And this is a game that is perfect to play with non-war gamers, non-historical gamers, but it is also nice to play with people that know what happened during the Waterloo campaign, and say, oh, here is Picton, oh, here is the French Lancers, or here is Drouet, etc, etc, etc. Lots of variants. There are also cards, so you can play with Napoleon Bonaparte, or you can play with Marshal Ney. Lots of stuff to do, and it's nice. It really gives you a historical flavor. It is a nice historical game, even if more a board game than a simulation game. Okay, don't worry, no problem about that. Just know what we are speaking about. This is 1815 Scum of the Earth, a very nice game, very nice addition to the series by Tristan Hall. It's nice, it's a fun game to have for the Napoleonic player that once in a while wants to just have a nice game. Oh, there's playable solo, as I said, so it is fun. It can be taken out and played in half an hour, three quarters, 45 minutes, and get it back on the box. A very nice game, and I really recommend it. So that's it. It's me, Ricardo, and that was 1815 Scum of the Earth. And as I always say at the end of my video, don't be scared, it's just war games. Ciao.